very exciting to be here. I see that it's late in the evening and many already left. But anyway, I will try to give you a short overview of what we are doing in this 10 minutes. So I want to just first start with a question I ask myself pretty often. So many companies out there are trying to build a new digital model, or at least compete with digital models, while still holding an engine, so a stuffing engine, which is really old. Which means they need somebody that can help them really achieve this new level of flexibility, this new level of speed, which is required in such business models. And this is exactly what Coople is doing. So let me just quickly show you on how we help businesses to achieve what they want to go for. So the need of flexibility is coming with every single wave of innovation. Every single trend that you see coming will have a harder and harder impact on fluctuation. And you can see already that we move from a very low fluctuation in demand, in need for your stuff, into something that is very unpredictable, a tornado of ups and downs that you will be managing, or you will need to manage with your company. So what does it mean in terms of workforce and the workforce mix that you will need in order to be able to deliver or compete already now, but the more in the future? So starting for a very permanent model, which was able to cope with low fluctuations, we are moving more and more into a flexibility and in a flexible model, which started with temporary agencies some time ago, offering a kind of a outsourcing and flexible model, which is now more and more moving into something we call a hyper-flexible kind of workforce. Which means that you will have to bring your workers to work in a specific task within minutes, and this around the clock. So this is the requirement we see with companies, and obviously it's important that we just really think about it in a good way. But without the other side, without the supply, these models will not be possible. The good news is that we can clearly see a shift as well on the worker side, where we first had a lot of workers being very work-centric and trying to build their life around the work model. Now things are shifting more and more into having life in the center of their life and really trying to fit work around their life. So I'm sure you all guys know a lot of dads at home or mothers at home which have really this at the center, and then they try to really go out and do a few gigs here and there in order to achieve whatever goal they have, maybe top up their income, or just go out and experience something new outside of their home. So a lot of new business models come up based on these strategies, on flexibility, on speed, and making sure that you can really cover peaks and absences very quickly. I'm sure you all know Deliveroo or Uber, all of these models. All of them use a very flexible model and have become masters in managing flexibility. And this is kind of one of the USPs of these companies on why they have been so successful. Obviously, there's been some debate on how good this model fits to the social environment, and are they workers, consultants, on how to treat them. So we as a company, we strongly believe that flexibility doesn't have to come with the downside of not being employed. So our model is really giving these employees the possibility to be in a worker status, so providing them with holiday pay, with education, with all the benefits they usually have in a permanent environment, and helping so to have an ecosystem which can really run on the long run and for the future. So what is Coople really doing for companies? And I really like this Pac-Man approach we have here, which is kind of showing the ratio between the output you can generate and the stuffing requirements you have. This is how a usual company is usually working. If you Think about a shop in retail or a restaurant where you have a very stable staff base and very high peaks and downs within a day. So what we try and do with most of our companies is really we help them connect the output with the input, which means we can maximize revenues in the right moment, and at the same time, we're going to make sure that you don't have excessive staff when you don't need them. So let's become more practical than we have been so far. So a few examples, real-life examples we have been going through and helping our customers to achieve their goals. In this case, a more strategic approach. So we had one customer, or we still have a customer in logistics that approached us with very strategic pain points, like not being able to meet the customer requirements of a new group, having strong pressure on margin. So we figured out on how to kind of change the strategy of the supplier, being really tied to external providers to deliver for them the packages, and insource that and make sure that the flexible workforce is coping with all the highs and downs. The results are impressive. After just a few months of operation, we could see a drastic improvement in margin per package price, and we could see at the same time a very good improvement in quality. So one of the possible examples on how such models can impact the business very, very quickly. Another one, and I'm sure you all know that the airport business and transportation in this environment is very, very thin margins and very fluctuating. So we are working with all the ground handlers at the Zurich airport and some other companies as well. These guys have really approached us in terms of saying, how can we improve our margins? We are just really at the edge. We cannot afford to go lower than that, and there's still a high point where we just really need to make this happen. And while analyzing the business, we just realized that 40% of the workforce was inactive in any kind of point in time. That means 40% staff costs for nothing. So how can we improve that? We just flexibilize the workforce, even increase the salary for the workforce they had by reducing the shift, and within a short time frame, we already achieved impressive results for an industry which is on very thin margins. But not only in strategy environment, such solutions can help, as well in peak times. So in this case, a restaurant which had an additional 400 people just being registered within 2 hours before the event happened. So what do you do then? You risk not being able to cover the needs and the requirements in quality. At the same time, there is a whole lot of turnover you leave on the table if you don't manage to do that. That's where we brought 8 staff within just an hour to the location and made sure that they can really cover all the additional revenue and at the same time hold the image they have to be really fast in delivering drinks and cocktails. So all of this would not be possible with the help of technology, and we see ourselves as being a product and technology company which is really disrupting how the world works. So that means you need to have a tool which somehow reflects the needs of the customers, which sometimes need to have highly complex environments where they need to hire people. At the same time, they need to make sure that all the regulations are taken care of. So break time, maximum working hours, minimum salaries, all of that needs to be just there, just work, while you just click here and there and basically put together your team in a very efficient way. Only the screen alone at the airport brought down the hiring process from a few weeks to just a few moments. The same thing applies obviously to the way you approach your workers. You need to be in their pockets in order to make it happen. So the business opportunity is really big, and what we want to achieve here is basically to really tick the boxes in order to make you feel that this is a really, really impressive and exciting opportunity. First of all, a huge market. Temporary market, just the traditional agencies already have more than 400 billion of turnover, most of them being traditional agencies around the world. On top of that, we see an additional 600 billion of temporary work within the companies which don't use traditional agencies so far. So let's check one box in terms of business activity. The second part is on top of world-class clients and helping them to really achieve what they want. Obviously, you need a team that can go after this huge opportunity. And that's what we have been doing for a few years now, going out and looking for the best talent in tech and in the finance world to really achieve a leading global position and make this happen. All of that would not be possible with the right financing and support in the background. That's why we were able to attract high-profile financing partners, which will help us really go and lead this to the next level. Well, where is this leading? Hypergrowth, good retention, and profitability. So we'll be very happy to talk to you guys if you feel you can contribute to this amazing business model and help us change how the world works. Thank you very much.
Thank you.